Hey guys, Palsteron here, and today I'll walk you through the leveling for the Kinetic Fusillade Hierophant League starter that I'll be playing in 3.28. Now, leveling a Templar, unfortunately, is pretty cut and dry until around about level 40 whenever we respec into Kinetic Fusillade. You can do it earlier. I have tried it. It's just not that easy to do, and it kind of requires RNG because you really need a 4-link before you start. So that is why in this guide, I will be going over Rolling Magma plus Holy Flame Totem into Firestorm plus Holy Flame Totem at level 28 into Kinetic Fusillade Ballista at level 40, and then you're done. And I know what you're gonna say, oh, not Rolling Magma again, but there is a good chance that beyond some of the new skills, we will find something good. Maybe the buffed Stormbrand, but it is just not a risk I'm willing to take here on YouTube where I give you guys some absolute dog shit. And I'll maybe try it out myself on League Start. I'm not too bothered being a little bit behind. Maybe I'll pick it up and maybe I'll make an update video, but that is where we are right now. So here you have it again, Rolling Magma, Holy Flame Totem. Personally, I like Firestorm at level 28. Some people don't like it until Unleash, which is at level 38, but we're already halfway into Kinetic Fusillade at that point, so it's not really anything I'm really interested in. But Holy Flame Totem and Firestorm for me feels a lot better at that point because the Ignite at that stage is not all that strong anymore from Rolling Magma in general. And then we're going to Kinetic Fusillade Ballista. Now, this is the same POB that I showed in the build guide. And you can see right here, I added some loadouts for Act 1, Act 3, and then Act 4 after respecs. And I put in the passive tree, I put in new gems, I updated them a little bit, and then I put in a gear set for most of them, kind of showcasing what you want, but they're mostly just some stats that you want to look for. But let's start. You really want to start with a muled ranger. That means you start a ranger, you get it to town, you get the momentum support and put everything into your stash. It gives you a little bit of extra gear, a little bit extra scrolls, and will also make your start a lot stronger. The momentum we really need for later for the shield charge just to be a little bit faster because Templar unfortunately does not get faster attacks. Make sure to check your vendor for movement speed. The regexes will be all in the video and in the description and in the docs and everywhere. Check the vendor for 10% movement speed boots, 3 links as per usual. Delete the ranger and start your Templar's journey. And yeah, it is what it is. Rolling Magma with Ignite Prolif, Elemental Proliferation in this case, and you're going to go for Holy Flame Totem for some added damage. You have to place your Flame Wall, and that is going to be your playstyle from level 1 to level 27. To give you a little bit of an idea how this is going to look like, you have your Rolling Magma right here. Make sure that they're all on always attack without moving. In general, do this with all your skills as per usual, otherwise they feel kind of clunky. And then you're going to place your Flame Wall and shoot Rolling Magmas through and make sure that your totems are also positioned so that your Holy Flame Totem will shoot through. And that is kind of what you're going to do. You're going to press Rolling Magma. It's going to have LE Prolif. I don't have it on right now, but this is kind of going to be your playstyle. Very often what you can do is you can place down Holy Flame Totem and then kind of chill for a little bit, right? You place down your Holy Flame Totem, stuff dies behind you. You will often not get the gold, as you can see right here, but the EXP will be huge. And this is important because later with Kinetic Fusillade Ballista, you will be constantly over leveled because you just kill so many things, and it will be great. But until then, it is a little bit awkward, right? So you're going to try and clear with Rolling Magma. And then for Shield Charge, I should actually do it this way. The way Shield Charge works is you can actually skip its end animation. So you want to Shield Charge and then Frostblink at the end, right? And that's how you're going to move. Shield Charge, and whenever Frostblink is up, skip the animation at the end. So in the loadout, we are now in Act 1. So you can see right here, in terms of skills, I have Rolling Magma supported with LE Prolif and Combustion. LE Prolif is very important. It's really good for clear. Holy Flame Totem, first with Summon Phantasm, but then later you want Infused Channeling and Added Fire, and you want to spec out of the Summon Phantasm. And you also want faster casting eventually, so I'll put this here. It also depends a little bit on what colors you get. You don't always get the perfect colors. You're very often going to get 1 red, 2 blue, on a wand, so that's why I'm putting that in as well. Flame Wall with Arcane Surge, make sure that you place your Flame Wall correctly. This flat damage early on is pretty busted, and the Arcane Surge buff helps a lot. Shield Charge with Momentum. Later on, you're going to add, actually, I won't have that until Library, so I don't have to put it in here. But yeah, Shield Charge, Momentum, and later on you have faster attacks from Library. Frostblink, And then Herald of Ash, Herald of Thunder, you will later swap this out, and you have Clarity whenever you have mana issues. In terms of levels, it's just really hard to say because it depends on how much random mana rolls you have on your gear, but you kind of have to play around with this because if you keep leveling and leveling it, it will be too much reservation. At this stage, in terms of gear, you want a Goat's Horn or anything with a ton of flat damage. Whenever you see the upgrades, then whenever it goes to a higher tier in terms of wand, you want that. Flat damage is a lot better than percentage spell damage in the implicit, just so you know. If you ever find a +1 fire spell skill gem wand, keep it for later because later you will want to craft on that the flat damage. If you get super lucky, you'll get flat damage and +1, but very often you're not going to get +1 whatsoever. Then you just focus on the flat damage. Fire is GG, but everything else is very strong as well. I actually don't even know if it's that much better than, for example, lightning. Depends a little bit on the tiers. And in terms of passive tree, it's pretty straightforward. We got the usual starting tree. You just want to get as much increased damage as possible. As always, Holy Dominion gives you a little bit of res. Precision gives you some extra shield charge speed and some extra dexterity. Then if you go down here, you can see I have one for every act. In Act 2, you go up and you want to get this Fire Mastery as soon as possible. Critical strikes do not ignite, but that doesn't matter. We have a ton of ignite chance, and we have the ignite chance from Holy Dominion. And then you get 100% increased damage, plus this right here. And then you go over to Elemental Overload. This is at level 22, which should be right before you get to the Act 2 boss. Now, eventually you're going to get to Act 3, and you're also going to do your first lab, which is going to give you +1 totem and some totem placement speed, which is very, very comfortable for Holy Flame Totem, especially because Holy Flame Totem got buffed this patch, and also placement speed in general got buffed. How that will look, I can't really say because I haven't tested it out, but it sounds really promising. If you know what you're doing, you can go only Holy Flame Totem at this point. I still like to have something to click against bosses, and I personally choose to spam some Firestorms. I really like the skill. It does a lot of damage, and it's just way more comfy than having to aim Rolling Magma. And yes, it does not profit from Flame Wall, but it's still my personal favorite here. Now, nothing really changes here other than the fact that you only have to press Flame Wall in front of your totems. You should have 2 totems right now, not 3, but don't mind that. And then you have this Firestorm right here, which is way comfier to aim than Rolling Magma, and you won't really have to aim it all that much. With the amount of placement speed you get and the extra damage from totems, this should be a lot more comfy. If you don't mind Rolling Magma and you feel like it's better for you, then keep it. I'm just usually the kind of guy who's like, the earlier I can get out of this goddamn skill, the better. For sockets here, I have Firestorm with LE Focus, Faster Casting, and Arcane Surge. If you have a 4-link, Holy Flame Totem goes in with added fire damage, Faster Casting, and Combustion. Then here, most likely your mana is going to be a little bit stretched, so you might have to deactivate Herald of Ash, but I have it in here just in case you get some mana on gear or whatever. Haste is if you want to be fast, you go Haste. It's really comfy. You can also go Purity of Elements and be super safe. You can also go Determination. I'm not going to put it in here, but Haste is pretty wild for sure. You also will need some Dexterity, so if that's not possible, just go for Purity of Elements. My bad, I think I said Flames first. Purity of Elements. Elemental Weakness, super important. This is just a debuff on enemies. It will give you like 30-40% more damage. You definitely need this one. Flame Wall, as always. The Arcane Surge is now on Firestorm, so you technically don't have to link it anymore. And then you should have Shield Charge, Momentum, and Faster Attacks, which you got in Library, which we'll talk about when we talk about the Kinetic Fusillade swap in a second. And then you have Frostblink. Now, in terms of items, I haven't really changed anything here other than the wand, just to make it clear that you now want to use the fire damage to spells. And this is something that a lot of people are not aware of, so I'll quickly show you this. When you go up and you get your quest reward from Diala, which will be right here, then there is a Eternal Laboratory. So this is an Act 3 right here in the Solaris Temple level 2. And you go in the right side, Eternal Laboratory, and there is a crafting recipe right over there. It will show on the minimap, and it will give you the aforementioned fire damage to spells craft. And this is a ridiculous damage increase, and it will also be valuable later for the jewelry on your attack-based build, because right now we're spells, but later we will still need that. And then also the Spirit Shield. Once again, if you get this in Act 1, in Act 3, if you ever find a shield with +1, that's huge. Spell damage is also decent, or you can go for something more defensive with resistances. Other than that, on the passive tree, what happens is down here we go to Act 3, And you can see we go Mental Rapidity for some cast speed and some mana regen. After that, you can kind of decide whether you feel squishy and go Cruel Prep first, or Deep Thoughts in terms of mana, or Firewalker. I usually go Firewalker first, then I go Deep Thoughts, and then I go Cruel Prep. Now, once you reach Act 3 Library at Siosa, you want to do the quest and then buy the following gems: Wrath, Less Duration, Kinetic Fusillade, Ballista Support, Fast Attacks, and Frenzy. Put them in your offhand for now. You will need them for later when we respec into Kinetic Fusillade. And then we have Act 4 before the respec. So you will see this is exactly level 40 before the respec, and you will just path down here, grab Arcanist's Dominion, and that is about it. Afterwards, you start pathing down because we're trying to get to windows of opportunity. So if you already start pathing here, that saves you a few respecs. Now, after this, at level 40, at the latest, you can go into Kinetic Fusillade. Should you get a 4-link before and you know what you're doing, or you can kind of glean how to do it, you can also scuff it a little bit. You can also check out Jungrone's run where he went for it. He pathed a little bit differently, but he had some cool ideas in there as well. But following this guide, you're going to start at level 40. And first thing you have to do is respec quite a few points. And if I'm counting correctly, the respec is 16 points. So you see everything you took right here, you're going to take away, and you're going to path all the way over to Window of Opportunity and then take the Less Skill Effect Duration Mastery. So you see before respec, boom, after respec. That is exactly what I did. I also did take Iron Will, which gives a huge amount of damage, and you do want strength on most parts of your gear, and more on that in a second. But that is the first thing. Now, how do you get there? Because in the past, you couldn't really have done this, but the way the game works right now is you actually have Faustus for a respec on gold. And if you're still in Act 4, you will have to go to Tasuni, and you go over there, you go gamble for items, you go respecialization. This is the important one, and you can actually respec for gold. Now, early on, I tested this a few times. You will always have that amount of gold unless you literally wasted it all on gambling. You shouldn't really need any gambling while doing your Casta leveling. Maybe some energy shield, but I really would not recommend to do that. Gambling for wands is unfortunately absolutely trash, and that is because the base shares, like, it shares the same base with minion wands and attack wands. So I'll show you right here. I'll just gamble some, and you can see right here, spell damage implicit, and this is a minion wand. And there's going to be wands that cannot roll attack mods. I didn't even hit one. Cast speed, spell damage. It is never going to be the one that you actually want, whether for attack or for caster. The only time you should do this is at the very beginning if you're really looking for a 3-link at like level 5 to level 10. All right, but what do you actually need to respec? First up, you need a 4-link with red, red, green, blue. So the way you do that is you go to Tasuni right here, and you're going to gamble for gloves. Now, this is a higher level character, but I'm just going to show you real quickly. You want to gamble armor evasion gloves because those have the best chance to give you your 4-link. Now, if you already found a 4-link and it is a armor evasion roll or it is an armor energy shield roll, these two are really, really good. So I'll show you one of each. Armor energy shield right here, and then armor evasion right here. These skew towards reds, which is good because you need 2 reds and the other ones you need 1 each. And it doesn't really matter where you get them. The worst part to get them would be on boots because you kind of want to upgrade for movement speed boots across the board, and your gloves, body armor, helmet would be a little bit nicer, but it is what it is. If I would have to gamble for anything, I would probably gamble for gloves, honestly. Now, the chromatic orbs would be a 1 in 9, so if you find enough chromatic orbs, you can just brute force it. So I'm just going to try and brute force it right here. 2 reds, 1 blue, 1 green. Let's see if I get it in 9. I'm just going to keep going. 2 blue. Yeah, this is pretty unlucky. This can totally happen, and worst case scenario, you're going to have to buy one from trade. It is where it is. In this case, I got it. I personally, especially with the gamble, have never had a experience where at level 40, I didn't have the links, just to give you guys a little bit of an out there. All right, so you got your 4-link. The second thing you need is you need Greater Volley, and you unfortunately don't get that as a quest reward. You have to buy it from the vendor straight up. So you go here, you type in Volley. You can see right here, it costs 1 Orb of Alchemy. So you either have to find an Orb of Alchemy, which is basically always going to happen. Or you find an Orb of Regret and you buy the Orb of Alchemy for that. Then you use the gems earlier that you bought from library, which is Wrath, Less Duration, Kinetic Fusillade, Ballista Support, Faster Attacks, and Frenzy. Those 6 should have been in your offhand. If you don't have space, leave out Frenzy. You don't need to level it. The most important one to level is Ballista Support because the life of the Ballista Support actually scales. So if you're being cute and you forgot what I told you and you're just going to throw it in at level 1, it's going to get one-shot by everything. Probably still going to be okay, but why, right? And then you need a decent wand. And as I said earlier, that's a little bit annoying. You now need attack damage, right? Because you're a Wanderer, attack damage. So flat added attack. Now, yes, Kinetic Fusillade does scale with the spell damage, but it doesn't scale with flat spell damage. You want straight up just weapon damage. So what you want to do is you want to go here and either you find some blasting ones or you buy them from the Act 4 vendor. You can see right here, for example, a clean caster 1, blasting 1, and then you just put on one of the following. If you find one of the following, that's great. Otherwise, whatever. So maybe you already have a wand that has some flat added damage, but Hatred, Anger, Wrath, and Woe is also okay. Gives you spell damage, which gets converted to attack damage on the skill, but these 3 are your best out. So for example, let's say I found this Hatred and I put it on. In this case, I don't really get anything. But what I did get is I got flat damage and I have a prefix open. And if you guys remember, I told you to save up for the Orb of Transmutations, or maybe that's later in the tricks, I don't know. But you go to the crafting bench and then you're going to go for lightning damage. Now at this level, you're going to have this craft right here. 1, 2, 37 for 4 Orb of Transmutations. You put that on. If you have a prefix open, voila, you have double flat. This is better, just to give you a reference. This wand is better than the wand I had that I basically always complete my runs with. Now in the POB, we go here to Act 4 after Respec, and we can now see why I can clear all the content with such a bad wand. It's because I get so much added flat damage from both Wrath and Herald of Ice. That's what it is. But going back to the wand, if you get really unlucky and you maybe have some Alks or some Chaos Orbs or some Scourings lying around, you can also do this and try again, right? Like sometimes you're going to hit, but it's overall pretty hard. So in this case, you could keep this wand as well and just craft on, once again, another lightning damage roll. But yeah, the more the better. So let's look into this. We have Kinetic Fusillade, which is our blue gem with our 2 red gems, Ballista, Totem Support, and Less Duration. And we have Greater Volley. There you go. Our auras now are Wrath and Herald of Ice for flat damage. We have Precision and Clarity. Now this one is a little bit weird because we do have Reservation, but most likely you will have to tick off the Clarity, and I'll probably remove it here because it's just very annoying. Make sure that you have Accuracy. This is true for every point in the game. Now, if we look right here, we can see that Act 4 after Respec, we still have the Precision for Accuracy. We have the node that's called Precision. But then later on, you can see that we're going to grab some accuracy over here. But until then, make sure that you level up your Precision. We got Frostblink, Sniper's Mark, which is actually going to be Elemental Weakness, if I remember correctly, on the top side. I should have changed that earlier. Frenzy. You have Arcanist Brand with Tornado. This one is important because it gives you a ton of single target damage. And you have Shield Charge at this point with Faster Attacks and Momentum. Now, how is this playstyle going to look like? Pretty straightforward. We have the Kinetic Fusillade Totems, which you plop down. You have Ellie Weak for debuff. You still have your Shield Charge Frostblink, as always. And then you have Arcanist Brand and also Frenzy you should have somewhere, yeah. So Frenzy you'll do on single target to get Frenzy charges. The Arcanist Brand you plop down on top of enemies. It will spawn a Tornado, which will then shotgun with your Ballistas. Once again, make sure that you put everything on always attack without moving. And yeah, Ellie Weak looks like Ellie Weak. So you just charge around, plop down totems, everything behind you dies. You get a ton of XP. You can just keep moving, and maybe pick up loot whenever there's a rare or like a magic pack. And from here on out, it's basically just smooth sailing. It is one of the most fun campaign builds that I personally ever played. In terms of items, I put everything in here. It's all about the flat damage. Flat damage to spells does not work. And percentage spell damage is quite strong on the skill, once again, because if you look at Kinetic Fusillade, it does convert percentage to attack damage. So if you don't know how this skill works, definitely check out my main build guide. You kind of need to know in order to be able to play this build. But otherwise, yeah, Jade Ami is going to be very important. Pick up your dexterity wherever you can. You're going to need this node very badly. You're going to need this node, and then as much dexterity on your gear as possible. For example, you can see the crafted dexterity here, but you can craft dexterity and everything. It costs 1 orb of augment each. Otherwise, you can see I have flat damage everywhere, and this is why you need as many orbs of transmutation as possible. You're probably also going to need a heavy belt base for your strength. And in terms of pathing, you can see right here, we'll go back to Act 4 after Respec. So you respec all of this for everything down here. Then we go to Act 5. After that, you're going to start pathing up top. First, up, left, all the way to Ancestral Bond. +1 to maximum numbers of totems. The downside isn't the downside. Only your totems at this point do the damage. And after that, you start pathing towards Prism Wave, which you're then going to take, and you're going to get the additional projectile, which is a huge damage spike. After that, you're going to grab all the int nodes on the way to the right side. You have enough damage to stomach it, and then take Fusillade right here for the extra attack speed. This is also going to make your, like these nodes right here are going to make your shield charge attack speed a lot smoother as well. In Act 8, you're going to grab a little bit of life just for the comfiness. You might need the might. And after that, you're going to start speccing into the totem attack and cast speed nodes. One thing you can do as well, which you could also do immediately if you want to, is actually spec into this life cluster and remove this connection right here. This is up to you though. If you feel like you have enough damage, you're just kind of getting weirdly damaged by stuff, then yeah, there's that. Now, after you get Primal Manifestation, I wouldn't really take a Mastery yet. You can technically take the 30% chance to summon 2, but it's very overkill in my opinion. I would start working on your mana reservation personally. And other than that, I don't think I did much. In Act 10, before I do the crit respec, I just get a little bit of extra life. Get a little bit of extra life here. This is kind of just for the last lap because I don't want to get randomly one-typed by Izaro, but that is also up to you. And the last thing you need to know is here, we still have Elemental Overload. We have no crit nodes. And in Act 10, even before map start, you can do a crit respec. All that happened here is I removed LE Overload, everything here. I removed Explosive Impact. So I spec'd out of all of this and I'm pathing from the top. And the crit nodes in question that I took were mainly the wand crit on the top right here. I took the Disciple of the Forbidden and the Instability. But the most important node that you want to respec into crit is Conviction of Power, which is going to be your third lab. Oh, and I almost forgot, in Act 7, you're obviously going to go for Ritual of Awakening. It's huge. Your mana is going to be zero problem from here on out, so you don't need to use Clarity or anything. So this is at level 55. This is at level 32. And then, yeah, later, once the crit respec happens, then you're going to take Conviction of Power. And I'll put some footage in the background, but I really want to hammer home just how nice the transition is. And if it doesn't feel nice at all, if your damage went lower, then come back to the video and check what you did wrong, because it's like not even close. After that, you're just going to be gliding. And at level 40, when you first transition, that is actually going to be your weakest point. You're just going to get stronger and stronger and stronger towards the end of the campaign. Now let's do some quickie tips and tricks here at the end for the whole leveling video. Tips and tricks: while you're a caster from level 1 to 39, make sure that you already start to sell as many unidentified items. That's like magic items and rare items. Magic if you want to, but rare items for sure. Sell them unidentified, because as always, if you sell an item identified, it sells for alterations. And if it's unidentified, it sells for transmutation shards. Maybe the lead mechanic spits out a lot and it's going to be fine. But if you're going to be using the crafting bench a lot, which you should, then you are going to waste a ton of transmutations. Every craft is 4 each. Another tip: get yourself a Doldris tenure as soon as possible. This one is insane. The reduced cast speed doesn't even affect you, but the 100% increased spell damage gets converted to 150% attack damage. It gives you a little bit of int, a little bit of ES. This is a incredible pair of gloves that you're probably not going to take off until like level 90. And another thing, if you're getting lab, you don't need any transfigure gems, so you're not going to stay in lab for a while. But if you want to, or if you get it randomly, If you get quality, you want to put it on less duration, not on your main skill, because the quality is also less skill effect duration. That's going to make it a lot more comfy to play. But that's about all I got. I will still be min-maxing this a little bit more. I might even do another run over on twitch.tv/Palsteron. We're going to see. Overall, I'm kind of done with this. I usually don't like to over-prep my league starters because then it feels like I've already done everything and the league start feels, I don't know, just less special. I don't love that, but I like doing 1 or 2 runs to de-rust a little bit, and I would highly recommend, if you want to play the skill, to do the same, especially the Respec. Just do it once to get the feel for it. Make sure you know how your main skill works, so watch the main build guide, and as well as that, I will be updating everything from leveling to endgame over the next couple of days. There's always like a few gems wrong and a few points that I will improve upon. Do also note that there is a max roll written guide that I have a lot of small tips that maybe didn't fit into the video that I thought about later that I will be putting in there, and it's just written format, so it's easier to search for terms and whatnot. So I will also link that down below. Other than that, I will be making update videos about what happens to me in Mirage, everything Mirage related that we don't know about right now, which might enhance the build or might change the way I look at the build or the way I build defenses. We'll have to see. And yeah, other than that, hope you guys have a great leveling experience. And since I still have a slogan, see you next time.